Hello, welcome to Practically Magic. I am one of your hosts, Courtney Pearl,
I'm Jaime Osbahr.
and we are here to talk magic with you today. We have like the sun
The
shining
sun's
in,
right on you.
which is okay. I'll be like, spotlight. We have Benny here with us, our new Practically Magic mascot. And again, recording in Rising Moon Minerals, the crystal shop. So this beautiful background that you see us in, you can come and visit. You can come and see it at Mountain View Corridor, Mountain View Village. Forgot my coffee. I'm going to grab it.
Yes, we need the coffee.
It's ready. I have to be. I'm wearing a dress today. I don't usually wear a dress. I'm trying to be demure. Don't. And, cross your legs. Okay. So here is what we were talking about today. We're going to pull a card. We have the spellcasting deck today, which I bought here at Rising Moon Minerals. Actually, I think I bought it at the booth at Pride Festival, didn't I?
No, that's where you bought the
Oh,
good
that's where I bought the
tarot.
good tarot.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, I don't know, but this
All
is
my
a
little
beautiful
friends.
deck. It's very popular. Anytime it's stocked in the shop, it goes pretty quickly. It just restocked earlier or last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lots of new ones. Divine Abundance, I see over there.
Mm-hmm.
Archangel deck.
Yeah, there's some nice ones.
The Healing Spirits deck, I have that also.
There's also affirmation cards. I put together some blind date with a deck, so you can get tarot or oracle. So if you don't know what deck you want, then you can buy that, and it comes with a bunch of goodies like feathers and stickers and a Palo Santo stick and a pen and a bag of crystals. So yeah, check that out on the website.
That's a great way to do it. As long as you trust the universe to provide you with whatever deck. If you're more of like, I like to pick my decks, it's
Or
okay.
if you're looking for a gift,
Oh yeah,
they make great gifts.
already wrapped.
Yeah, already wrapped, ready to go. They're pretty. Check them out.
Yes. Okay. Now, I was telling her before we started recording, I love to use this deck. It's an oracle deck, spell casting, oracle cards, but I have loved using it in partnership with the tarot decks that I do in Tarot for Tips events and different things, because sometimes I have people sit down who are like, oh, I'll give tarot a try. I want to try this, but they haven't come to me with any kind of question or intention of what they want the reading to be about. So they might sit down and say, I don't know. I don't have anything that I'm asking. I don't have a particular question. So I'll pull this out and just lay out a couple of cards because they're really great for here's the theme of what we want to ask. And then I'll pull the tarot to say, okay, what do we need to know about this? What do we need to know about this? And it's always been really great. I love it. And it could be a really great one for actual spell casting if you're into that kind of thing. What do we need to know?
Oh, good one.
Boundaries. I'm going to show this in the video. So those of you who can watch it, it says boundaries, has this great image of a woman sitting, crisscross applesauce. It's the best way I can describe it. Meditation and hands in prayer. And it has this ring of fire around her where she's sitting. This is actually really fascinating that this card comes up for us today for this episode, because I have actually been having a series of clients and series of sessions, and I often find this to be true. They'll come and there'll be a similar theme that everyone is working on in different aspects of their life, and boundaries keeps coming up. But normally I associate that with the sacral chakra in like codependency relationships and things like that. But it's been coming up more and more with the solar plexus.
That makes sense. Healing that inner child.
Yeah.
Because if you're not taught about healthy boundaries as a child, then that starts a pattern of unhealthy or not even knowing how to set boundaries, just being a people pleaser. That's a lot of how I lived my life, was thinking it doesn't matter how I feel, it matters how everybody else feels. I didn't even understand what boundaries were, really. I mean, there are certain things that obviously you go, don't murder people.
Yeah.
Don't steal, like, I don't know. Those are pretty basic and common and what most people live by. Common boundaries, I guess.
Yeah.
But
The law
yeah,
is a boundary.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like for personal boundaries, for my own self to say, this is what I'm willing to accept and this is what I'm not willing to accept, it took me a long, long time to
Yeah.
learn how to set those boundaries.
Yeah. And I think where people get, and I kind of love, if you look at the card really carefully, she's got this glowing, there's like a glowing spark at the top of her head, at the crown. There's this glowing right here in her heart. And then you have this infinity symbol that kind of starts at her root, um, in where her energy centers align in her body. But uh, what's been coming up for a lot of people, I think it's just a universal theme, but it's how do I love unconditionally? Like, how do I open up my heart chakra? How do I open up love towards all human beings, especially human beings close to me, my immediate family, my intimate relationships, and still hold boundaries? That's so confusing for people
Hmm.
because we've been taught and conditioned that either love is freely and openly giving yourself to someone
All the
all the
time.
time, like without any boundaries, or, or if you cut someone off, if you say, I will not be doing this, or I will be protecting my energy in some way, that you're not loving anymore.
Right. So finding the balance of the two, because having boundaries is not unhealthy.
Right.
Not having boundaries is very unhealthy, and it can really affect every part of you. When you're just giving, 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 and then you feel guilty, and when you try to take, it feels selfish.
Mm-hmm.
How do you unlearn that? How do you
Yeah.
reprogram your brain
Yeah.
to understand that that's actually healthy, and you need to live in a balance where you're doing both?
Right. Because I think there is a way to be of service to others, to show love towards others, and even to help and support those that you love, while also being mindful of, have I crossed a line into a space where I feel like now I'm giving all of myself, I'm giving more energy than I really have, and I've reserved nothing for myself to be able to actually love this person. So uh we've kind of talked about it in the past. Brenda Cradolfer was a guest on our podcast a couple of times where we talked about, she's a relationship coach and intimacy coach, talking about mostly married couples. But I think some of the things that she taught me, the skills that she taught me, were really great in this, that it actually protects love and connection when you hold boundaries.
Right.
Because if you start to resent that person because you're giving so much of yourself to them, or to even the space that you share, like for a spouse, you start to build that resentment, whether you express it or not, it's building. And then intimacy and connection deteriorate in that space. So
Hmm.
if you're not saying, okay, if I engage in this, I overstep into a space where I will start to feel, okay, I'll do the dishes again. Or, okay, I will do this thing for you again, but I'll also not be able to do it without holding some resentment, or there
Right.
will be some, I'm going to do it begrudgingly in some way. I think there's a space you can hold in any relationship where you go, I am mindful and aware that I'm doing something that I will hold resentment for. And therefore, to protect our relationship, I won't be doing it.
Right. Right. To be aware of how you're feeling, because as you're talking about it, I'm going back through my mind, excuse me, and I'm thinking of the times that I had like big emotional explosions, right? I
Mhm.
had reached that point where it was like, I have given and given and given and given, and I haven't been asking for anything in return. I haven't taken time for myself. And I'm not blaming anybody, but it comes out in a big explosion of emotions, right?
Yes.
It's like, I don't know where else to put this. So I'm just going to throw it all over you. And not, whoever that is, whether it was my kids, whether it was my husband, whether it was my animals, it was just like it gets to a
Yes.
point where it boils over, and you
Hmm.
don't there's nowhere else to put it. It just comes out. So being aware and not letting it get to that boiling point,
Yeah.
maybe it simmers a little and then you go, oh, I need to go get my nails done,
Yeah.
or I need to go get my hair done, or
Yep.
I need to take a bath, or whatever it is that you can
Yeah.
decompress and self care and then return to life. But then also not just resetting and then going back to it and then resetting and going back to it, setting
Hmm.
healthier patterns of saying,
Yeah.
hey, I feel like I do this too much.
Yeah.
Can I get your help? Can
Yeah.
you please pitch in? And opening those conversations because as it goes back to expectation, we talked about this too, expecting other people to know what you need and how you feel and how to help you without actually saying it or asking
Hmm.
for it is very unreasonable.
Right.
So creating those healthier patterns of open communication.
Yeah. So that's where it engages all of the energy centers of the throat chakra, being able to communicate it appropriately. Because there's either an overactive throat chakra where it's like I word vomit every thought I've ever had out to everybody all the time,
Mhm.
or there's a balance of I can communicate my needs and wants, and I deserve to have my needs and wants met.
Right.
Is kind of where that comes in alignment. And like we've talked about before, the expectation not being, okay, I can ask for what I need, but then I let that go and I say, I've communicated it. Now I need to take care of myself.
Right.
Because then there's that whole thing where, and I'm just as guilty as anyone, but just I've asked you to do this thing for me and now you're not doing it. Now I feel like I'm going to write this whole story about how I'm not loved and I'm not respected. And I'm
Yeah.
going to do this whole thing where you could just say, I'd like you to step in and help a little bit more with housework or whatever it is. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm really kind of running ragged. There's a couple of things that need to be done. Can you do this? And then going, okay, I've asked.
Right.
Now I'm going to let it go. Now I can choose to let those things not get done
Mhm.
and say, that's okay. I've asked for help. I don't need to be the one who steps in and does it. Or I'm going to go ahead and do those things whenever I have the time, when I get around to them, and I'm going to do it willingly
Right.
and just say, you know what? I care about these things more than this other person does. So I'll just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's blinding. So,
Yeah, I think it's a matter of setting the expectation of, like you were saying, um, communicating what you need,
mhm,
but then also not holding people to a certain standard. And I struggle with this in a
mhm,
lot of aspects, but more recently here in the shop and having employees
yeah,
and expecting them to run the shop the same way that I do.
yeah,
There, I'm setting my standard like way up here when everybody's human, everybody does things a little differently, everybody makes mistakes. So learning to forgive, but then also setting that boundary of when you do this, it makes it harder for me
yeah,
to trust
yeah,
that you're going to show up and do things properly, right? Like it makes it really hard. So finding that balance of not like getting overly
yeah,
emotional and not disciplining or holding grudges.
right,
It's it's really
yeah.
hard for me.
Well, that's interesting too because I was just reading a part in the "You Were a Badass" book that I'm inching my way through, and she went through in one of the chapters talking about I don't know how she worded it. There was a way that she put it that was like taking offense at what other people do because you're perceiving it a certain way. And the way that I word that, the way that I've always talked about it is telling stories.
Yeah.
That in the way that we think about things is we like to tell a story that if this doesn't get done by my spouse, by employee, if it doesn't get done to my standards, my expectations, it means that I'm not loved, I'm not respected. Um, you know,
They're not capable.
they're not capable, right?
Yeah, I
Instead
think
of
that's
the reality was just probably, you know, they don't see it the way that I see it.
mhm,
They don't see the world or have the same priorities or have the same perceptions that I have, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's
Interesting.
hard to come outside of myself and understand that in those moments where I'm super frustrated and feeling disappointed, to step out of that and go, okay, well, this is not directed at me. This was
Yeah.
not done on purpose. These are things that we as humans do, and I need to be able to forgive and allow more chances,
Yeah.
right? So,
Just have that compassion, that those C words again, I love. I'll bring up a million times. You guys are gonna hear it. And you're so sick of it, but you're gonna be like, oh, I'm so glad that she reminded me. The curiosity rather than judgment. Like, oh, I'm instead of judging this person, saying like, are they weak? Are they lazy? Do they just not respect me? What's going on here? But going through it at a more curious state of mind, like, I wonder what they perceive this to look like, or I wonder how they operate things.
I wonder what brought them to this.
Yeah, their past, their
Right.
experiences.
Mhm.
Because we all have different brain maps, mapped different ways, getting our needs met in different ways. But I do think it's kind of interesting that that was the theme coming up for a lot of people in different ways, whether it was their children, their spouse, their career. It all came up in different ways, but it was all very similar in that everybody was like, how do I operate in these environments, in these relationships while, you know, uh, maybe giving less of myself, like giving not so much worry and attention to it. Especially, I think, a parent child relationship. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's where it really hits harder than anything. Because I think you can kind of look at a spouse, an employee, or a colleague and be like, they're adults. We're on the same level.
Well,
Let them have theirs.
what do we say a lot to people? I'm not your mom, right? Or I am your
So
mom.
true.
So why is that the standard?
Yeah.
I'm your mom, so I'm going to set these
So I get
boundaries
to be.
and standards for you.
Yeah.
Or as sometimes I think about my employees, I'm not your mom. I shouldn't have to be holding you accountable,
Right.
but to a certain degree I do because I'm your boss, but I'm not your mom.
Yeah.
So it is
The
interesting that
authority.
that you say it that way is you know, I'm not your mom. Well, I shouldn't have to do this for you.
Yeah.
But then with our kids, of course, we take that I am your mom. This is my responsibility,
Yes.
but it's not all my responsibility. It is my responsibility to teach you and guide you and
Yeah.
allow you to walk the path. But in my own experience as a mom, allowing my children to walk the path, but then also letting them know that when things happen, that you have a safe place to come back to,
Right.
right? Not,
Yeah.
I'm just sending you out there and I know you're going to mess up and I know things are going to go wrong. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
That's not okay. That's, as a parent, I don't feel okay doing that.
Yeah.
I
Because you
want to
take a
be,
certain identity and, uh, I mean, I think as most mothers do, it's like, this is not just another person I'm in relationship with. This is my identity and role and
mm,
um, purpose,
responsibility.
responsibility to raise this human
Mm,
and to be there for them and to do things for them. But I think back to um, there was this really great instructor at the Institute of Healing Arts where I did my program. And a lot of people brought this up because it was like, how do I do this with my kids? How do I let them? How do I let them struggle? How do I let them, where do I play a role in that? And she talked about how it does become a slow over time detachment as, they get older. But she said by the time her kids had reached high school, she was using a different format of support for them than she would have in elementary school, where if they got into some trouble, they, were failing classes, they got a speeding ticket, had to go to court, and, things that happen to teenagers. She started to use the approach of, oh, I'm so sorry. That's so tough. What do you want to do about it?
right.
And just that phrase, I mean, when we talk about spell casting, I always think words are so powerful. Can you just feel the energy difference in like, let's help you. What can we do about this? I'll go to court with you. I'll do,
Let me pick it up and take it
let me
for
pick
you.
it up and take it for you. Or is there extra credit you can do? Is there, which is, that's how my mom handled things. And she
Mm.
was like, there's always something you can
Let's
do.
problem solve.
We've got
Let's
to
problem
problem solve
solve.
this. Yeah. Which she's not wrong. And she was doing what moms do. Like,
Mhm.
I want to help you. I remember as a kid, though, feeling very much like
Judged.
judged, and there was no emotion there,
No room for
no room
emotion.
for the emotion, and
Mhm.
no room for support.
Right.
Because I kind of feel like sometimes all that teenagers need when they're going through that figuring out life into adulthood is, I've got you. No matter what, I've got you.
Mhm.
And that is kind of what that phrase does, is it says, I'm so sorry. That's so hard. Life hands us some tough things sometimes. I know it's hard to be failing a class. It's hard to have a ticket. It's hard to deal with these things. What are you going to do about it? Then puts the responsibility back on the person in which this problem is.
Right.
And then it also simultaneously says, subconsciously says, you're actually strong enough to handle this. Like, I believe in you too
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Which I know, like, for a lot of young people, it might feel like, what do you mean? What am I going to do about it? I mean, I'm
Mm.
sure they would feel a little like, whoa, that responsibility is mine. I don't want it. I want to be a little kid again and have my mommy fix it for me. So it may not be perceived that way. It may not land that way at first, but I do think that it is a powerful energetic exchange where it says, I think you're capable.
Right.
I think you're strong. I think you can handle this. And sometimes rushing in to pick things up and do things for our loved ones or children, it might feel loving, but it also doesn't. It also sends a message like, you're too weak. You're too strong. You're not strong enough. I will just have to
I'll just take
handle
that
this
for
for
you.
you. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we have to be careful about that. Sometimes it's not as loving as we think it is.
Right. For me, when it came to those situations of there's a problem that needs to be solved, I struggled to not get overly emotional and angry. Why
Mm-hmm.
why would you do that?
Yeah.
That was the big thing for me was why would you why would you do that? So now being able to step back and I have this
I know. I don't know why it does that. The video likes to pop up with all of these fun things that we do.
when we're using our hands so much to talk.
I do. I use my hands way too much. I'm realizing that now. But
But
yeah.
being able to step back from that emotion because it gets frustrating, it gets upsetting
Mm-hmm.
to have somebody make a mistake that doesn't just affect them, it then affects a lot of people around them. But, not just taking the burden of their problem, but also allowing yourself to feel the emotion of their mistake. And it's super heavy and it's a condition that I'm trying to unlearn. And now that my children are adults, it's a little bit easier,
Yeah.
but not much because it's adult problems now. It's not
Yeah.
little kid
The
problems.
problems just get bigger
They do.
with them.
But it's almost easier for me to let that go, saying, you're an adult. I'm here to help you and guide you and support you through it, but I'm not going to fix it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And setting those boundaries because they get in those patterns of, oh my gosh, I have this problem. My mom will fix it. My dad will
Yeah.
fix it. Somebody else is going to fix it for me.
Yeah.
So you're setting a precedent for them that when they get into trouble, that they need to be rescued
Yeah.
rather than trying to figure out how to rescue themselves.
Yes.
So
Or just, I'm creative, I'm capable, I can handle this. Or sometimes the things that we're going through at that age are all so hard because they're all so new. And you do have to experience some things for the first time.
you
I got a
absolutely do.
ticket.
You absolutely
I
have to
got to handle
experience it.
this. The very first time might be so hard and so scary. And then you go, okay, I've learned something here. I, first of all, don't want to get tickets. That sucks. And I have to pay for it. And I have to go to court and I have to do these things. But also, when and if it ever happens again, I know now what it takes. Paying your taxes, you know, all these like adult things that also come with the beauty of being independent and free to and an adult, right?
Right. Yeah.
And having choice in that. So, yeah, it is kind of interesting to talk about this topic, even as I'm thinking, I had no idea we were going to talk about this today, and this is just where we're going with it. But I was just thinking recently about my grandmother, who just the sweetest lady in the world. But we've talked before about the culture of the church in our demographic. It's just sort of a micro community that I think shows the culture of really the United States and beyond as a whole. But how much of herself she gave to the church, to her family, sacrificing any well-being or question of her own well-being in her life. And then when her children were raised, her two youngest sons, my uncles, they really, really struggle and have always struggled. And she was just so willing to pay to keep giving them money, keep giving them
Mm.
like, oh, you need a new car. Okay, we'll figure something out. We'll get you a car. That car gets repossessed. It gets, lost. It gets broken. It gets stolen. It gets whatever. I mean, I don't know how many cars between the two of them my uncles have been through, but it's like money, inheritance, everything that, and she spent the majority of her life, even up until the very end, being worried about them. And I
Mm.
think even the rest of the family was very much like, hey, you know, you gotta stop enabling and you've got to let them be adults. You've got to let them handle their problems. And yeah, it sucks. And she was just so worried about them. She just thought they'll not survive. I have to do these things. And it does kind of make me wonder sometimes when I look at, again, the extreme of cut someone off completely and being like, well, you've used up all your chances with me. But I think that's where it comes to what you talk about, the blow up,
Yeah. Yeah. Because you keep adding to the pot. Think about making
the
a stew,
resentment pot.
right? It's like you're making a stew and you're putting all this garbage in it.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, actually, I don't want that. I'm not
Yeah.
going to eat that.
Yeah.
So let's stop putting garbage in there. Let's add things that are valuable. But when it comes to setting boundaries, and this is kind of coming all the way around to setting yourself up for more success than failure, is when
Mm-hmm.
you set those boundaries. And as we're conditioned to step in and solve problems for our kids or loved ones, what we're doing is we're setting the precedent of we're going to do that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So I think about my kids, and there were things that I was willing to do and things I wasn't willing to do. And I was very communicative about that, right?
Yeah.
When you turn 16, you get your driver's license, we will provide a car that you can drive, but you will pay the insurance and you will pay the gas. And there were complaints. I was like, well, my friend's parents just pay for everything. And I was like,
Oh,
cool.
I thought that would subside when they got older.
No,
That
no,
whole
no.
my other people's parents
Yeah,
thing.
no, my friend's parents bought them a this and that, and they just pay for everything. So I sat down with them and I said, at what point in your life are you okay with me not paying for everything? And that's going to be never. That's going to be never. If I
Yeah.
could have someone pay for everything for me, even at the age that I am right now, I'll take it.
Yeah.
If I don't have to pay
Yeah.
for it, yeah. So I just trying to help them understand, hey, this is a small piece of what you're going to have to do when you're an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So paying for your own insurance and your own gas, that's part of it because when you turn 18 and your next sibling gets the car because they're 16, then you're going to have to buy your own car and you're going to have to
Mm-hmm.
pay for all of it. And we
Yeah.
don't pay for any of it.
Yeah.
So let's take it in steps, right?
Yeah.
So eventually it did come back to me where my kids came back to me and they said, that was really hard for me to understand. But
Mhm.
now that I'm an adult and now that I have the responsibility, I appreciate you doing that for me.
Yeah.
So as hard as it is, and as much as we just want to be like, here, just take, I'll just continuously give this to you
Yeah.
because it not only makes your life easier, it makes mine easier too. Because now you have a car, you can take yourself places. I don't have to worry so much about it. But it's the little things, the little boundaries that you've set that I'm willing to provide the car. The
Yeah.
rest is up to you. That's my boundary. And if you can't do that, then get a bike.
Yeah.
Right. So that those were the options.
Trespass.
So it's boundaries in all aspects of life, but when it comes to parent child,
Yeah.
spouses, anything like that, you have to be able to know where your limits are,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to set that boundary, and you have to be able to communicate that boundary.
Yeah.
Because if people don't know that you have a boundary, a lot of times I've done this before, I think it's just common sense.
Mhm.
Okay? You don't do certain things and expect other people to just be okay with it. But it's not always that way. So you
Yeah.
have to be able to say, if you need this from me, then this is where my boundary is,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
if I need this from you, I need you to tell me how much you're willing to do, right?
Oh, yeah. It's so interesting as you talk about that. I'm thinking about my son, and he's the type, just personality. Whew, whew, shake it, baby. He's the type that will always take as long as he can.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
yeah.
he doesn't have that meter that says, I might be overstepping, I'm inconveniencing
How
others.
much more can I get?
He just kind of doesn't have that mind
Mm,
yet. I don't know if that develops at some point, but we'll see. But he's just like, yeah, if someone's willing to give, I'll take it for sure, for as long as I can. And it used to really bother me because me and my husband are like, we're the type that are like, we were raised
very conservatively.
afraid
Yes.
of inconveniencing anyone ever. And like, I would never ask. If I was at a friend's house as a kid and I was thirsty, I would just like be thirsty as
Never ask
long
for
as
a
I had to
drink.
be until someone said, hey, would you like a glass of water or something? And then I'd be like, yes,
Yes,
please.
thank you.
But I would just never be the type of person to ask for
Mm.
anything. And I would just, it was,
See, and that's the other end of the spectrum,
I
right?
know. And me and my husband both being like that and having a son who's not has been really uncomfortable. And for a long time, I didn't know if it was my job to teach him. So when he was little, you can hear the licking sounds. That's just Benny. Um, so I did find I felt like it was my job to teach him. So I would, kind of like hold him back, or I would, when we were around people and he'd be like, oh, can I have this? And can I have that? Can I have this? Can I have that? And I would be like, okay, remember, just don't ask for more things than that you think they might be willing, or it's not nice to keep asking, or, just trying to teach him etiquette. But I will say this over the 11 years my son has been alive, no amount of me trying to teach him has ever made a speck of difference in how he behaves. I
Right.
will just say he's taught me a lot about humans. And so it got to a point where I finally just had to say, I have to let him be himself, and I have to let other people hold their own boundary.
Right. And that's where I was like, that's where my mind was going as you're telling the story, is you're trying to set boundaries for other people.
I am.
You're trying to
Yeah.
make him respect boundaries that might not even exist,
Right.
that
Because
it's
I
up
don't
to
know what their
them.
boundaries are.
It's you always tell me when my son comes in your shop, just be very careful. Don't let him talk you into
I
don't let him
still do
talk
that.
you into
I do that to
giving him
everybody.
things.
I'm like, watch out for him. He's going to wheel and deal you until he's got all your stuff.
And it's
Yeah.
good to have the heads up. But it's also up to me as
Right.
the shop owner to have those boundaries and enforce those boundaries and to
Yes.
let him know, hey, I'm not upset with you. I'm not mad at you. This is just not something I'm willing to do.
Oh
right?
my gosh, yeah.
And
Oh,
actually part of that was your kids were with us last episode, and afterwards they came in and I was like, if they'd like to pick a little tumble, they can take a tumble with them. And they chose something else that was more
yeah,
expensive and you
yeah,
chose to buy that for them. But then I was like, would you like to pick something for your brother? Let's keep it, something small. And they were like, well, can we get two?
yeah. Well, because there's two of them, so they were like each picking their own, and I'm like, all right, guys.
Yeah, so I was at that point, I set the boundary and I said, how about we just give him one? And you also set that boundary and they respected it. And that was totally fine. But I think that's what's hard as a mom is to not try and create boundaries for other people.
Yeah, for your kid.
Coming in and saying, let's respect people, let's keep it to a minimum, but then
Yeah.
allowing him to find those boundaries because that's what he's doing.
Mhm.
He's learning.
Yeah.
He's what do they call it? Pushing the limits.
Yeah.
He's boundary checking.
Yes.
And I've told I have a son that does he's very similar. He is always trying to find the easy way out. He's always trying to get things for free and things handed to him.
Yeah.
So I there are certain people like teachers that I would forewarn, hey, he's this way.
Yeah.
Please be aware. I'm
Yeah.
not going to tell you how to do your classroom or how to interact with my child,
Yeah.
but I want you to know
Yeah.
this is his personality type and he
For
will
sure.
push until you push back.
Yeah.
He will continue to push, push, push
Yeah. A little bit
until
more.
you set the boundary. So it's up to you to set the boundary without actually saying it that way. I don't think I ever talked about boundaries because at that age, for him and for me, I was like, I don't know what this is, but I feel like I need to let you know.
Yeah.
So learning about
I've
boundaries
had
in
those
therapy
conversations.
over the last probably 10 years, learning about boundaries. And one of the big ones for me was I was in a very traumatic part of my life. And I was in a bad place in a relationship within my family with my brother and with his wife. And feeling like he's my brother. I need to
Mhm.
give him grace. I need to find a way to have a relationship with him. I need to do this because he's my brother.
Yeah.
And I sat down with my therapist and we're talking about this. And she goes, let me ask you a question. I'm trying to think of how she worded it, but it was something along the lines of if he was a stranger in your life that you connected with and started having a relationship and he treated you the way that he's treating you now, would you continue to have a relationship with him? And it was a very simple, immediate no. And she
Right.
goes, so why do you continue?
Yeah.
Because
Just because you're
he's my brother.
yeah.
So she actually at that point gave me permission. She was like, I want you to know that no matter what role a person plays in your life, mother, father, brother, sister, child, nobody has the right to disrespect you and treat you in a
Mhm.
way that makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
So if you don't enjoy it and you don't have any sort of benefit from the relationship with that person, you have the right to end the relationship.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Because there was a
Oh.
lot of people pleasing. There was a lot of, I have to put up with this.
Yeah.
I have to deal with this. I have to be uncomfortable because they're my brother. They're my whatever.
Right. And I think that goes back to also um maybe kind of there's a little element of what will other people think? Because
Yeah.
maybe for you it's like if people knew I was the type of person that would cut my own brother off, like would that make me a bad person?
Right.
For me it's and this is a generational pattern again, like from my grandma and that side of the family. It's parenthood and how you are seen as a parent
Mhm.
is so much a big deal. I think that's part of the reason why I overstep in those ways is because if I don't step in, will people think I'm not a good mom and I don't teach my son boundaries and I don't teach my son etiquette and politeness and, don't take advantage of people. There is very much of that wrapped in subconsciously. What I don't even realize I'm doing is I'm like, I don't want people to see me as a bad mom
Right.
and I'm not doing my job.
Right.
And that if people perceive my son a certain way, if they see him as like, wow, that kid, you know, really took me for one or something, he charmed his way into getting all my crystals or something. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, that reflects badly on me as a mom. What will people think? They'll think I didn't teach him, which, as I said before, since he could talk, I have been teaching him, and it has made no difference in how he approaches the situation.
Right.
So there's that lesson was taught to me as children, in some sense, come as they are.
Yeah.
And you are just meant to
Guide.
learn who that is and guide them as best you can and be the love and support in their life. And that has been a huge lesson, like a learning curve for someone like me who thought I could influence and raise and mold these little children into who they're going to be and all of these things that I thought as I was a teacher. It
And
was
you
all
are to a certain degree,
BS.
right? So as I'm listening to you talk about this, and I'm sure this is true for a lot of people, especially us as moms and women, what are people going to think about me?
Yeah.
What are they going to perceive of me?
Yep.
I'm going to be seen as a bad mom or a bad friend or a bad sister or a bad family member. And I recently came across something, I'm sure it's been out there for ages, but it said, what other people think of you is none of your business.
Yep.
Boom.
Yep.
That's easier said than done for someone
Yeah.
who's conditioned to constantly be worried about what other people think of me and what they perceive me as. But I can't continue to constantly wonder if what I'm doing is good enough for everybody else. Is
Yeah.
it good enough for me? Am I good? Am I happy? Am I doing what's right for me? Am I living according to my values?
Yeah.
It's so empowering and it releases a lot of that stress and weight. Is it good enough for me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh my
then.
gosh. If I had been able to learn that or just actually live that earlier. I think a
Hmm.
lot of the problems that I've had as a parent, it's interesting looking back on it over the last 11 years that I've been a parent, the issues that I have had where they've created, a real battleground with me and my son and how it's really, it's kind of damaged the connections we could have had that I'm working on repairing. It really does stem from that feeling of I want to be a good parent and perceived as a good parent and doing it right
But what does that even
and ruined
mean?
it.
It's like
Yeah,
perfection doesn't
I
exist.
know.
Certainty doesn't exist.
And it
Being,
was the stress of that, it was
yeah,
the pressure of that ultimately caused more problems.
right.
That if I had just trusted myself and if I had just been like, wipe that all away, there's no such thing as the right way to do it. There's no such thing as, you know, whatever I thought, all of these, and again, this is generational. The pressures of growing up hearing, uh, they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, look at how their kids
Can
are
you
spoiled
even
and look at how
believe?
their kids are whatever. And it was like, those parents are not doing it right. So after a lifetime of hearing that, then getting to become a parent finally, wanting to have been a mother so bad. And then I finally get handed this little being, this little soul. And I'm like, I'm going to do it right. That's what started my problems.
Right. Yeah.
And now it's been like, again, all these years of unlearning that
Yeah.
to be able to go, this kid, because I swear the universe planted me a child that challenges everything I thought I knew,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And
That's what they
I'm
do.
so grateful for it. And it's also been the biggest challenge of
Yeah.
my life.
Yes.
But I love it because I'm like, yeah. So here I thought I could teach him. I thought I could mold him. I thought I could,
Make him
do
what
it
you wanted
right.
him to be. Yeah.
And he is who he is. And he is going to be who he is.
Yeah.
I have learned that. And everything that, I do in counseling when it comes to my son is radical acceptance. That's what the counselor keeps bringing up to me. She's like, radical acceptance. What if this is just how he is and you just accept it? And I go,
But I don't want to.
okay. Relationships. Because I think that, yeah, like I said, I mean, sometimes spouses or siblings or even parents, parents can be tough too. Because
Yeah.
that's
No.
like, I want approval from my parents. That never really ends. I mean, we could go into a whole thing about parents, but we'll save that for another day.
Right.
I wanted to get to I was gonna kind of talk about intuition today, and I love that, Blue Lace Agate comes up. It's kind of perfect for the throat,
Mm-hmm.
which we've talked about a little bit today, and the season that we're in is really connected to our intuition. So, tell me a little bit about this Blue Lace Agate that we've got
So
today.
blue lace agate is a very true blue lace agate is actually very rare. Comes out of South Africa, and you can tell the difference. You'll see blue lace agate and blue chalcedony. They're very similar, but you can see the banding in this piece,
Yeah.
and that's how you can tell the difference. So it comes out of
So cool.
one mine in South Africa. It has a gentle healing energy and helps one to achieve higher states of spiritual awareness. Nurturing and supportive stone, which is believed to help um, reduce infections and inflammation. So it's not just a spiritual; it can also help with physical. But it is a very, very connected to the throat chakra. And sometimes I'll compare with people when they're asking about, hey, I need help opening lines of communication. I need help with my throat, opening my throat. If you want something super gentle, that's just going to be like, hey, you can do this. I'm right here to help you. I'm here to support you. And then just very gently guiding you. This is a really, really good one for that. If you want one that's going to be like, girl, stand in your power.
Yeah.
I mean, lapis lazuli is going to
Yes.
like just push you and not just push you there, but it's going to like stand behind you and like
Yeah.
really just be your backbone, right?
Right.
But sometimes we're not quite ready for that
Yeah.
big push and that big support and that, yeah, the heavy, like the big, strong energy.
Push, yeah.
So Blue Lace Agate's going to gently say, hey, let's look at this for a second. Let's find a
Ooh.
healthy way to open up that communication. And I also like to talk to people about lines of communication are not just what comes out of you. It's also what you're willing to understand when people are trying to talk to you. It's also your inner dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
So when we talk about self-love, we talk about rose quartz, we talked about that last week. We
Mhm.
talk about the heart chakra, but we're right now we're talking about the throat. And the throat does also emanate within ourselves, our
Yeah.
inner dialogue. What are we saying to ourselves? Are we having a healthy communication inside? So use the Blue
Yes.
Lace Agate to help create healthier thought patterns.
I love that. Yeah. I'd originally thought we would talk about maybe brain fog and things like that, but it kind of comes around to that when you talk about inner dialogue and actually some of the conversation we've had today about your your parents' voices being in inner dialogue, like recognizing and being mindful of what is it that I am, how am I approaching a situation before I communicate what it is I need to communicate. So, am I
Mhm.
coming from a place of love and empowerment, or am I coming from a place of fear
Anger.
and when I'm expressing myself, right?
Mhm.
And I love that you said this is gentle because the color of it, and even just this one with all of these
The banding.
flowy lines going through it, I often associate the throat chakra with that connection between the heart. It's kind of like the opening of the passageway from your heart and connecting to your intuition
Mm.
because it's between the two. So it's like, am I connecting with my own trust in myself? The how my brain, my inner dialogue, my brain is thinking these thoughts, and then how am I communicating with love?
Yeah.
From my heart chakra.
Mm.
So I like to when I have clients on the table doing an energy healing, I might have them invoke this color, like a light sky blue, and imagine that it's kind of like an opening of the air, just
Mm.
clear and almost like aquamarine or yeah, this color is perfect. I love this sky blue color.
I love that too. So so yeah, we think we're going to come into these episodes with a certain
I know.
theme, and for the most part we still touch on it. But when the card is pulled,
Yep.
that's
I'm like, let's go.
it's always interesting to see the direction that we go in because we both have so much life experience and we're both so open to learning and growing
Mhm.
that we hope, at least I hope, that sharing our experiences in life and what we've learned through different mediations, different,
Struggles.
yeah,
I'm open about my struggles. I don't mind telling you, like, healing is never an arrival point. And even though I've been on this journey for several years and I've learned what I've learned, and I can sit there and learn, like, what are you supposed to do in a situation when this happens or when this happens? And I can teach it. But this is me in the real world. Uh, Actively struggling with it. I
right.
actively struggle with it with my kids or with situations when I handle stress. And, you know, what's interesting is I noticed as we're talking about this blue lace agate, the zodiacs, Gemini and
Yeah,
Pisces.
that's your son,
My
yeah.
son is Gemini and I am Pisces. And I feel like sometimes it's oil and water.
Hmm. Hmm.
But again, I always come back to as much as he and I, personality wise, or however that shows up for us, it can really butt heads. It's almost like he's the thing in my life that smooths out my edges. I needed him to come into my life to challenge things so that I could question what I am doing.
Right.
And that's really uncomfortable. Nobody likes to go, this is how I thought life was supposed to be lived. This is
Hmm.
how I thought I was supposed to have my needs met and do things right. And this is how I was proving I'm good. And then someone or something happens in your life that hits all of that, blows up in your face.
And then you start to
You're like,
realize maybe, maybe that's not me living my true authentic life,
right.
my true self. So yeah, I mean, regardless of the challenges or who it is that brings that into our lives, if we're not willing to say, "Oh, maybe that's something I need to change about myself,"
Yeah.
but constantly trying to make others fit into the mold that we've created, it's called growth. It's
Yeah.
called being accountable, and it's called all of those things,
Yeah.
right? It's let's look at it together. And I love that you're like, he is exactly who I needed in my life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because the way that he came into your life was not the way you had expected.
Right.
And the way that he's shown
And
up in your life has
yeah.
been not what you expected.
Everything challenged from the get-go, from how he came into our family and everything was I thought things were like this. I thought this is how it was supposed to be. And that's another thing that I've been clearing a lot in sessions is that's been coming up is let's clear supposed to.
Yeah.
Let's clear that because there is no such thing. And the more I learn, the more I realize there's no right thing. There's no right or wrong. There's no um like that just doesn't exist like we think it
There's no
does.
certainty.
No certainty. Yeah.
You
So if there
do.
isn't,
Yeah,
how do you look for it?
you find it for yourself.
Yeah.
You learn that for yourself, and then you let that guide you. So it's very,
Exactly.
very interesting.
All right. So come into the shop, get your blue lace agate if you're having the need and the call to want to bring that into balance. I think that's even a great one for balancing all the way through,
Hmm.
as the throat is the expression of those things, those solar plexus, self confidence. Even as we looked at our
Boundaries.
boundaries card, it's like all
Being
the
able
way up
to
and
communicate
through.
those boundaries, right? I was just
Yeah.
looking at the card again too. The affirmation for Blue Lace Agate is I am willing to be happy now.
Like a choice.
Right.
I am willing. I'm not going to fight it anymore.
Just let the happiness flow, right? Like let's just do it.
That's a good thing to kind of ask yourself as you say that affirmation is how much am I fighting my own happiness?
Right.
Am I
Yeah.
not willing it? Am I not allowing it to even happen? Which might
Um,
be a theme for some people right now in this sort of seasonal where we're at.
yeah.
So yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, so much. We could talk another hour, but I won't. I'll
We'll
let you
save it
go.
for next week.
We'll save it for next week. And yeah, so Rising Moon Minerals, you can go to.
risingmoonminerals.com. On Instagram, I'm at rising_moon_minerals. Google me, order online, come in the shop here in Mountain View Village in Riverton, Utah. We're close to the entrance to Cinemark Theater and the Kona Grill.
And Prism Healing. is my business. You can go to prism-healing.com to see all of the offerings that I do in energy healing card reading sessions. And I can do those in person or virtually, wherever you are. I also have some really exciting, fun events and classes that are up on my website right now. I just got connected with the Wild Heart Sanctuary. We did our wonderful sound bath we talked about in a previous episode, and they are going to allow me to come and host me for a Healing Through Art workshop that I have done for years. But we get to do it with the horses. So that's going to be extra special. So if that event is still not sold out, check it out and see if you are around Park City and want to join in on that. I also have a rituals and spells class that's coming up virtually, so you can join. I'm going to have a special guest that does spell jars. She's going to come on and talk to us about how to make a spell jar and make one for us in class. And that's virtual, so you can sign up for that anywhere. Yeah, so many fun, fantastic things going on at Prism Healing. I can't even list it all. It's just, you're just going to have to go check out the events on my website. What else? So we want to thank Sunshine Community, our other sponsor. Thanks for creating sunshine in our community. And I want to thank Ride the Wave Media for producing our podcast, and Just Blaine for being our producer and hype man, and just all around awesome guy who makes these beautiful videos and puts them out on YouTube. If you're thinking about doing a podcast, I highly recommend doing it with a network like Ride the Wave Media. They're fantastic and they make it really easy for us. We just get to hit record and they do the rest. So check it out, Ride the Wave Media and all their awesome podcasts that they have on their network. So we'll see you next week. Witches and wizards, go make magic.